Good evening, one and all. Welcome to oNiD's Twitch here for the first round of the oNiD Simhound JCW Mini World Tour, powered by Simhound, provided in partnership with SimGrid. We are at Sydney Motorsports Park for the first of 8 rounds, I do believe, of this championship. Sprint racing at its finest, reverse grids. And boy, oh boy, what a few weeks we've got to look forward to. Sydney Motorsports Park tonight on May 13th. We're going to tracks like Falkenberg, Sportsland, Sugo, Goodwood, Salzburg, Phillip Island, Sonoma, and Kuduba. I hope I said all those right. I probably haven't. But in the colour speaker with me once again for this season. Thank you very much. Sorry for the wonderful graphics. It looks absolutely wonderful. Good evening.
Good evening. It's great to be back in the comms booth once more, having had, we'll say, a good round of racing last season. Yeah, great to be back, and well, what fun cars do we have? The minis. I love our admins especially saying how much they were looking forward to these cars. Hopefully, the racing action proves to be just as good as we're all expecting.
I certainly hope so as well. 3/4-hour races determined by a qualifying session we're just about to go into for this first round. And we'll have a bit of a pause to go to next server, ready for races 2 and 3, reverse grid as well for race 3 based on the finishing positions of round 2, I do believe. We will have Ben Myatt, the lead admin, in the comms booth with us this evening just to describe what's going to be happening with AC this season. But he'll be able to give us a full lowdown on this championship. But as we do wait for the server to just tick over into the qualifying you'll see all these wonderful JCW Mini Coopers go to circuit here at Sydney Motorsports Park for the first qualifying session. 10 minutes of qualifying, and that will then set the grid for our first race of the evening. Word going around is that these cars are very fun to drive. Admins and people racing tonight all loving these cars as of so far. Looking forward to get into the race and see what the season can bring us. Sure, Scotty, your thoughts on the season? This does look like a very well turned up season as well. Great numbers to see, especially for AC as well, which is showing its age, but is yet again not is never failing to impress.
Yeah, I mean, we always have great variety, and we showcase that. We've gone from last season Formula Lithiums, or Formula E cars, if you want to call them, to front-wheel drive minis. I think the only way we could have got a little bit more different is if we were using the classic ones. But no, we've got the modern minis as we haven't, and this was a surprise to Ben. He's like, how have we gone so long without racing these modern minis? We've raced the classic minis a good while ago now. It's a couple of years ago now. But these modern ones, no, not yet, is a first for us, which is a bit of a surprise. But yeah, it's nice to have a bit of variety, have something different to last season. Should also mention, that we haven't said so far, we have fixed setups for this whole season. So no complaining that, oh, that top driver has a better setup, or, they did hundreds of practice laps to dial the setup in. No. Every driver is on the exact same setup. The only difference is that someone might be using ABS, someone might not be. That is completely up to the driver's discretion. But there isn't much of an advantage or a disadvantage. A good driver will be just as quick with ABS as they are without it. And TC as well, of course, not just ABS. But yeah, that is for the drivers to decide amongst themselves, as is usual in our series. But other than that, no changing of setups.
Indeed. Nice, level, even playing field for all, but we'll see who can master these cars, especially without having the ability to change those setups. It's going to be quite an interesting season for AC, and we look forward to bringing all these races to Twitch as well. And thank you for everyone that's joining in for the stream so far. Good evening, Bendo's Bird. Thank you so much for the drop in. It's lovely to see you as always. As we're now going to go to the qualifying session. And how many cars have we got? 23, 22.
Yeah, 22 cars, 21 already on track, and they're all within a sector. No one sort of opting to wait too long, as of course 10 minutes is not a long qualifying session. Drivers might only get about 6 attempts, I think, throughout the whole session. With the longer lap, traffic could be a little problematic. And as we go later on into our second qualifying session, that will set the grid for race 2. I believe that's down to a 5-minute qualifying session, so not much time at all. But yeah, hopefully all the drivers will be able to, well, I say hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that maybe some drivers don't get a good lap in, find themselves out of position, could make a bit of a spicier race first time round.
Oh, you love a bit of chaos, don't you? That's what it is. We'll go to quality and see what you guys can do in the meantime. Keep looking out for the big names such as Jacob Hines, who jump on board with him, and in this oNiD racing livery as well, jumping on board. He goes into turn 1, long left hand. It's almost like a reverse Snetterton, if I think correctly. Long left hand into a hairpin left hand, so a long right hand into a right hander. Interesting persuasion. As he goes through turn 1, turn 2 quickly follows here. This gradual right hander, which then kind of leads itself into the turn 3 over is to be some sort of bridge. As they go over through turn 3, a little bit of oversteer. Being front wheel drive, these drag themselves along by the front tyres, and the rear sometimes left out hung to drive. You saw there as a car spinning. Jake is able to avoid it down through turn 4 into 5, and it's going to be first of the drivers to second up, actually, looking at these track on the top right. It's got the fourth car to come to the line.
Yeah, we have a couple of drivers in front of Jacob, but a couple of drivers making early mistakes. Stevie Bain sliding off on the exit at turn 4, and then Kanoji was the car sliding off on the exit of turn 5. Into these final corners, very tricky braking zone as you're turning through the right-hander for turn 9, slowing down for turn 10. Jacob running a bit wide, has given up some time there, maybe backing off a little bit to try and get a good exit onto the start-finish straight. And we're going to start to see some lap times come in. Let's get those times up on the board. The out laps have counted, so you'll see some slower times, but then they'll improve as all the drivers come across the line. See, everyone's saying laps. Pivot currently top of the times, but immediately going back to pit lane. So let's see what else. Fright is one of our quick drivers from last couple of seasons, still finishing their first lap. They opted to wait a little bit longer in pit lane, leave a gap to the cars in front, and I think that's Dondolo behind them as well. So up to the line here for Frieza, and they will go P2, but immediately beaten by Dondolo, but not quite enough to fight with Pivot at the top so far. Let's see how the rest of the session progresses.
Nice to see the early signs of the pecking order for these JCW Mini Coopers as we go on board with Measure, currently down in 10th. Looking at that timing squeeze on a personal best, 0.2, or actually still on personal best, but now half a second down on the best lap time set by James Lee Pavot. Still a little bit to find. You've got to go through the final 10. Goes a little bit wide. Keeps it within track limits there on the final 10. Puts the power down. Use acceptable amount of curb on the outside and goes down the main straight. Hopefully this will be an improvement for him. He goes to the line. What's going to be for Johan's up to 5th. Good lap from Johan. Dondolo in second, actually, going quicker than the pole sitter. As you see Ash Hill coming across the final 10. Someone decided to take their car off onto the grass. It looks like Ash Hill's going to back out and let a couple of cars through to replace some space. Let's go back up with Dondolo, actually, as he's on the purple lap. And he's actually going quicker according to his first sector time. He's about to come to the... actually, this is the final 10. This is actually a live time from his second sector, minus 0.177 seconds quicker, but that's not going to help his cause. Running wide, going onto the grass, either that's going to disallow his lap time or he's just lost lap time outright. I don't think this is going to be challenging James Pavone, who pulls off right at the last moment. 139.1.
Yeah, messing up towards the end for that Paul Grady here. 3.5 tenths off through the first sector, currently sitting in 13th place. Will be trying to get themselves up towards the top 10. It's also worth noting, as you'll see on the window banner and rear side window, we have the class denotions, the Pro and Amps noted there, so you can more easily tell who is in which class. Paul here, one for the Amp drivers with the red markers, the Pro drivers just have black markings. So Paul not doing too badly. Fortunately, we don't have Pro and Amps on the timing tower this time like we did for the Peugeots, but we'll find some way to try and make it a little bit easier. Now, losing quite a bit of time, lost nearly a second compared to Pivot's fastest time so far in the middle sector. Out of the final corner, how far can Paul O'Grady get themselves up the order? Currently sitting 13th across line now, very late on start finish straight, gets themselves into the top 10 with P9.
That from them will go down and see what Oxley Hartman's doing in 6th position, not too far off his fellow competitors Pavot's pole time, only 0.282 of a second between him and the pole sitter as it currently stands going into the second sector. So one more corner to go, and we'll see if he's been able to make up any more time. It is a personal best, and there should be an improvement as he comes to the line. Will that be enough for pole? We're about to find out. It isn't. It's third. It's not too far off either.
Not too far indeed. Gus Peters on a lap, looking good through the first sector. Only 2 tenths off, but we've seen with Paul O'Grady, Rizzer struggled to keep up in the middle sector with Pavot's time. Let's see how Gus fares, of course. Our AM champion from last season in the Formula Lithiums was also very competitive in the AMs. In the Peugeots prior, so as you can see on the window banner from the inside here, has been bumped up to Pro along with Jacob Hine, who we were watching a little earlier. 2 drivers promoted into the top class, but after second sector, 6 tenths off, running a little bit wider, might have given away a little bit of time as now comes out of the final corner. Long run to the line here. Waiting to see, can they improve from their current P8, which they'll want to do so. Now they're in the Pro class and they'll be up to P4. Good improvement from them.
Just looking at the timing tower on the left, Fraser, Harkonnen and Dondolo all going quicker. This is going to be a very tight top 3. I say that Harkonnen's had a shocking middle sector. It's now finding himself half a second down, so that's on his lap completely out the window for now. He'll potentially get another opportunity depending on who's on the circuit, but we'll stick with Fraser's 8.015. Alright, make that make that 0.235 off Bolton. Dondolo though, however, in car number 1, I think is actually coming to the line now. We might be seeing him take pole position.
So let's have a quick look. Dondolo already on the run to the line, is currently looking good at the middle sector point. Have they held it through the final few corners? No, it's not an improvement in the end. Back to Fraser, currently P6 up to P3, but again losing time in the final sector. It is quite a difficult one. Let's see, Sean McGardle with a good opening sector, only 2 tenths down. How do they fare in the middle sector here? Will he lose time like other drivers like Paul O'Grady, or will they be able to hold it through? Was probably, yeah, the longest sector of the lap and one of the most difficult into the hairpin, the sector line. Just after this, as you can see, the yellow marker on the track map denoting those sector points. But we're seeing improvement from the top as well. Pavot going a little bit quicker, but Sean losing a bit of time in the middle sector, not even on a personal best now, with the time changing to purple. But a couple of corners now. Can they have a clean final few corners? This is where laps can be won or lost. Neshev gets themselves up to P5 a little further up the road, but can Sean McGardle break into the top 10?
About to find out. Comes to the line, it's going to be... No, not an improvement. An improvement in time, we'll give him that, but not an improvement in position. The top 4 is still going at it, however. Pavo's going purple.
It's going purple indeed. Only 200ths up. Trying to use all of the track and a little bit more on the exit of the final corner. Up to the line now. And
not an improvement.
No, not an improvement. Let's see, Fraser on an improvement in the middle sector. Not pole time at the moment. Can they improve? No, they don't either as well. And I think that is us nearly done for qualifying. So let me see here. Here is our gaps in qualifying. Oh, Toscano further back improves up to 18th position and finds a concrete wall at turn 1. That's oddly placed concrete wall. But yes, I believe that is our session over and done with, and we'll be getting into the first race fairly shortly.
How interesting. The gap at the top between the top 3 is almost like class of their own. It's P4 downwards where the gap forms. It's it's pro for top 3, and maybe just pro for everyone else going down the field.
Yes, so James Pavot, our pole sitter for the first race by nearly 2 tenths, very close between Dondolo and Fraser. The housemates close as always, but looks like it's going to be a 3-way fight for the lead, judging by lap times. Harkonnen and getting sort of best of the rest in P4 ahead of Neshev. Peters up in P6 for their first appearance in the pro class ahead of Ashhill. Jacob Hang, Godwin in P9, and a bit of a gap then to Paul Grady, who takes the last top 10 spot ahead of Sean McArdle, Ben Myatt, Lucas Smits, and Tim Bob, Kanoji, Stevie Bain, all very close together by second and a half back, as Taran 2 seconds off. Then people who might be a little bit disappointed, Toscano down in 18th, Adam Ely down in 19th, Andy Hearn 20th, Zach Silver down 21st, and Mariano in 22nd. All drivers within 3 seconds of the pole time, which isn't too bad for the somewhat long lap that we have here at Sydney Motorsports Park, as we will be getting set onto the grid shortly for race 1.
And let the chaos unfold. No, you don't want chaos. You want clean racing. What am I saying about? No, don't want
chaotic but clean racing.
Chaotic but clean. That is the way, isn't it? Tom Watts, good evening. Thank you very much for dropping by. Good evening to you as well. I can hardly hear me, says Bendo's bird. Interesting.
I have adjusted you. So hopefully that is a little bit better. The levels look good on my end, but if need be, I can twink them a little bit more. So yeah, do let us know if how things are sounding. As I say, they look good on my end, but it's not just about what I see on my end, it's also about what you hear at home. And unfortunately, I can't listen back to what you're hearing at home, so yes, your feedback is appreciated and will definitely be taken into account.
Why would anyone want to hear my voice anyway? That's interesting. Anyway, we just wait for the cars to grid. The inevitable pause between AC sessions, as we do allow an extra bit of time for people's pings to settle and get onto the grid, and we'll stay on board with Pavo here as our pole sitter. Not too far behind them, we have the second and third roommates. Let's not forget. So that's going to be an interesting discussion if they have a race incident. I would not want to be in their household. And then just back from that is Harkonnen and the rest of the field. Time split them in qualifying, but they are only now currently split by the space between their grid slots. It will be a standing start for this first race, and we will get underway momentarily.
Yeah, not long. Less than 30 seconds now till the lights go out for our first race of the calendar. 24 races coming up, and it all starts here at Sydney Motorsports. Lights about to come on now, and here they come. How well will the drivers get away from the line with front-wheel drive minis? The lights are out and we're away here for race 1. It's a clean start from everyone as we look back from our pole sitter, slotting into line. It's side by side as Harkonnen is trying to go round the outside of Friese. Can they get the move done as the drivers now head towards the hairpin? This collision's happening further back as
it's a massive off. Oh, that's a few cars as well. That is McArdle, Bain, Myatt, Bob as well. All those guys coming off at turn 2. Well, actually, say into turn 1. Oh, it is turn 2, ignore me. Yep, hairpin turn 2.
Yeah, and Gus Peters, one of the cars dropping back from their start place, trying to fight back with Zach Silver. Ben Myatt also trying to fight back as well as Mariano is getting to grips with the Mini, and those that are trying to fight back past now Stevie being one of the pro drivers getting involved with that down towards the back of the field. They'll be quite disappointed to be among all the AMP drivers. Harkonnen, after that good start, trying to challenge Friese, has dropped back a bit, and that's Jacob Hound trying to go around the outside of Neshev, but a bit optimistic around the outside of the hairpin.
Grady's fallen a few positions as well, getting pipped by Adam Ely and Jayden Kanoji as he drops down to 11. That's the biggest changes we've seen. The last 4 currently on the timing tower dropping down from the midfield as they had a collision in turn 2. Apart from that, they're looking relatively okay.
The field's still very compact together. Look at the train of cars. Paulo Grady trying to go for a move on Kanoji, who's defending to the inside towards turn 1, the very fast left-hander at the end of the Brabham Straight here. Little bit wide, as we see wide in the background for one of the oNiD cars. That's Andy Hearn sliding off into the gravel. We'll lose quite a few places, but O'Grady not able to get the move done. And Gus Peters getting ahead of Taron, who also loses out to Zach Silver in the background.
Oh, they'll recover for sure, but that's not going to help their cause in the slightest. I wonder how he managed to get out that far. That was a very interesting place to lose the car. Maybe he was forced off, or he was encouraged, let's say, to go off circuit or jump back down to this midfield. Or towards the end of the back end battle, as Toscano fighting away with Bob behind him. Bain and Smith's also fighting and squabbling for position as well. I think Stevie Bain's trying to go around the outside of the turn 6 into 7. Not going to work there. He'll have another couple of opportunities come into the penultimate turn here.
Down the inside for Stevie. It looks like he might get the move done here, but Toscano's going to have the momentum on the exit as they head towards the final few corners into turn 9 here. Inside for Stevie, but turns to the outside again. Bit of door banging, and Stevie sliding off onto the grass and spun round for Toscano. They're going to jump to the back of the field, unfortunately, after that bit of door banging, but it certainly hasn't helped either of them as they lose more positions after what's already been a difficult start, especially for Stevie.
Absolutely, Stevie Bain's going to try and get back at it, get back into the action. Meanwhile, Sean McArdle making a move on hand into turn 1. This long left hand that's going to potentially go to Stevie Bain as well, as he also tries to recover from that little off he had at the final turn.
Been an instant with Paul O'Grady and Gus Peters. O'Grady coming worse off, losing a couple of positions to Silver and Taron. Dropping down 14th, will have to try and recover, having looked racy there behind Peters.
Well, we said it would be chaotic, but we didn't realise it would be this chaotic, as jumping up and down that timing tower like in an elevator, or going up and down like a yo-yo. We'll see Lord Fraser fighting Donnelly for second here. This is a battle for, look at the gap between the leaders, 3.5 seconds almost.
Yeah, Pavot is checking out in this race. Let's go on board with Freezes. They're now following their housemate, who got the better of them in qualifying by just 21 thousandths of a second. Looks like they might be getting the better of them here, but an issue for Ben Myatt off at the hairpin here.
Oh dear, that's not going to be good for him. He was looking forward to this mini-season, but maybe going to be taking that back after tonight. But hopefully we'll get this round out the way with. He's got 2 more races to come. We've still got 2 more races to go, of course, of an hour. One of which will be the final one with the full reverse grid, which will be absolutely incredible to watch. Especially if Pavot's stopping off like this, he'll have to start from the back of the field and fight through for the final race this evening. Peters trying to make a move on Kanoji. Thought about it going to turn 1, backed out of it, thought better of it, and hunker down and try and make a move into turn 2. He's going to get a nose up the inside.
Yeah, wide for Kanoji, leaves the door open but has hung up there around the outside and becomes the inside here for turn 3 and will slot in front for now. Let's go on board with Gus Peters looking to the inside here through the right-hander. The door left wide open by Kanoji and looks like it will be moved on. Kanoji trying to come back down the inside, but is maybe able to here as Peters runs wide, and it'll be side by side again down towards turn 6. Tricky braking zone with how awkward this corner is. Peters hanging the long way round, and they're still going to be side by side to fast left-hander of turn 7. Looks like Peters is going to get the move done here. Inside for the hairpin as well, but swoops over to take the racing line. Is in very deep though. This could give Kanoji an opportunity. Very wide for Gus Peters, and Kanoji is going to be back through for P10 here. Or are they? It's neck and neck here as they come to turn 9. Kanoji on the inside to begin with, and sweeps in front of Gus Peters, but slides out wide themselves. Peters back down the inside of the final final corner now, but Kanoji's going to try and get the better exit here using the curb, and it's going to be a drag race down the start-finish straight here as they head towards T1. Kanoji on the outside, Peters pulling in front for now. How brave will these drivers be through the high-speed corner of turn 1? Kanoji going for a cutback, trying to get back to the inside for the turn 2 hairpin, not quite able to get alongside, and Peters defending the door instantly, holding the inside line and taking that inside line. Silver now closing up to this battle, will be looking to try and have a little sniff, try and get past Kanoji, especially with them being so busy fighting Peters in front of them.
Trading in terms of position like it was a hot potato. That was no, you have it, you have it, you have it. I don't want it. That was insane, and some of the moves there as well. Clean racing, each of them giving each other space, especially around some of the outside the corners where it is just a wall. Speaking of walls, and that's a Harkonnen finding one. Quite a way off.
Contact with Johan Neshev on our timing screen is having trouble getting the car buried out of the wall. It's going to drop to the back of this field wide there for one of the AM cars. I believe that might be Hearn indeed. Real shame for Harkonnen having started P4 this race.
Oh, that's gutting. That's going to hurt. He's going to be absolutely fuming at that. Don't quite see what happens down. You can't get replays on Seto Corsa for one reason or another, so we can't bring you what actually happened the clause opposite to go into the wall, but rest assured that he's down in 19th, and after contact with Nezhev for position, looks to have come the worse off. Harkonnen actually being the biggest net loser in terms of positions, down 15 places. Biggest gainer, however, Adam Ely up in 8th. Look at that, gains 11th.
Side by side here with Ash Hill and Neshev. Neshev trying to take P4s, but it's going to leave themselves vulnerable to Jacob Hine, who was trying the outside of turn 3, hasn't quite made it work, and is now going to come under attack from Godwin into turn 4. Look at the rear end of these cars snaking around.
Oh, we said they pull themselves along on the front wheels. There's actually nothing, no power, no engine power going to the rear wheels. It's all front wheel drive, so if anything, the rear of these cars do become a little bit like loose weights basically. And no much use apart from having 2 wheels on the back axle so it can actually drive, but chucking these cars in, allowing the front wheels to power the car through the corners, if you can get it right, can help you. If you want it to be a bit more loose, can help you into the corners, but don't want it too loose, otherwise it'll just snap around on you.
Yeah, you have to balance the throttle to help give you the turning you need. The diff set up so that the car works, turns more when you're on par than sort of off par, and is sort of more settled, but you don't want to just slam the foot down, as then you will spin the wheels up, generate a lot of understeer for yourself. And it's a good exit here from Godwin, closing up on Jacob Hine, and is going to look to the inside, side by side now. Jacob trying to squeeze Godwin to the pit wall, pulls back over to the racing line. Godwin not following, taking that tight line, and will ultimately have to give that fight up for now. Jacob Hine holding on to P5. Having made up 3 spots so far this race, so having good race, but it's deep here at the hairpin, but we'll try and cut back in front before Godwin's able to get their nose alongside.
Gets away with it, lives to fight another day. That was a good win. That was a good run from Goodwin. Oh yeah, that was a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? As he now has to concede that battle for now and stay in 6th. However, he's not that far behind, but he's got to be careful. He's got to have eyes in the back of his head as well, because that's an issue. Also wanting to make the round up the grid, and this battle maybe just playing into his hands a lot more than these 2 want it to.
Yeah, they're sort of in the difficult position, especially for Godwin the most, I would say, that they're trying to attack the driver in front, but in doing so they risk leaving themselves vulnerable to the driver directly behind them. We've already seen drivers attacking this race and then falling victim to the car behind. Will Godwin become another one of those drivers, or will they be able to successfully get past Jacob Hine in the oNiD livery? A lot of use of the runoff, pushing the track limits out of the penultimate corner. as they come on to start-finish straight for another lap. 3.25 minutes remain. This race very short, almost over already. Things starting to spread out a little bit at the front, but you still have plenty of close battles down the middle and second half of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely loving this battle here with Hine and Hill, and these two guys have been at it before with in previous seasons, and he's always given us great entertainment fighting away. This is only real battle. It's actually battle quickly to 6 a bit further down. As Smits and O'Grady actually say that. O'Grady's decided to go and turn his Mini Cooper into a bit of a ride-on lawnmower. Drops quite a few positions as well.
Yeah, not for the first time at the hairpin, as Harkonnen getting themselves past Andy Hearn for 17th in their recovery. So still something sort of course. Drivers just trying to get any championship points they can. We have an overall championship as alongside our two individual classes. So while Harkonnen isn't passing pro cars, there is fighting AM cars, still gaining those overall points. And you know, if their season turns around, this big two-wheel moment for Andy Hearn, they're jumping over the curb. But then, if Harkonnen can have a good season from here, they could still, you know, those points could be valuable in the overall championship. But Hearn now coming under increasing pressure from Mariano, having been passed by Harkonnen, who is making their way up the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's going to be interesting to see Harkonnen wanting to break away and try and get back up. As he's right instead of that. Oh, I say that. That's Paul O'Grady going wide again. That's fine. I don't mean that horribly, bless him. He's wonderful. As one of our admins is racing this evening, as Kanoji and Silver very close together going through turn 1.
Kanoji looking to the inside, Silver trying to take final top 10 position. Gets the nose up the inside, but has a bit of a bang into the door of Silver, who holds their line, holds the outside, and comes the inside for the right-hander. Kanoji trying to get past the AM driver. I should also say the classes may be re-evaluated after this or next week, so you know, the classes aren't entirely locked in, depending on any others. But big wobble there for Kanoji turning into turn 5, runs out very wide, gives the place up to Lucas Smits.
That was a big moment. I said that rear end, just trying to get ahead of the front axle, stepping out and thinking, oh, I'll try and become the front wheels instead of rear wheels. Essentially what happened there, as he slots back in ahead of McCard and Bain, who are equally fighting away for their own little battle as well.
Pavo Ive, the final corner coming up to the line. The time is ticking down. This could be very close. Yes, he is slowing. He will make this the final lap and takes the win of our first race here in the JCW Mini World Tour. Donzo will take second ahead of Freise in third, with Ash Hill leading a train of cars home for P4. Hein in fifth, Godwin in P6. Adamide will take P8 as, I believe, AM class winner. Good race there from Adam. Lucas Smits following Zach Silver across the line, just missing out on the final top 10 position, being followed by Tim Bob. Kanoji losing those positions on the final lap, will be ahead of Sean McGardle and Stevie Bean. Harkonnen gets 16th at the end. Paul Grady having difficult race, dropping many of positions, will finish in 17th place. Andy Hearn in 18th. Mariano 19th. Ben Myatt having a difficult day, down in 20th. Toscano and Taran will round out our grade for what was a very action-packed race.
Zach Silver and Adam Ely, both big gains, 11th positions gains for both respective drivers, so they'll be quite happy with that. But the top 3 finishing as they started, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a precursor for how this season is going to turn out, but those top 3 drivers definitely making their mark.
Yeah, making their mark, making themselves well known, but still plenty of action. And we've got to remember, our next qualifying session is only going to be 5 minutes, so it's drivers got to make sure they get a lap in. Otherwise, we could see a slightly more of a shuffled grid.
Speaking of drivers, someone just snuck into the comms booth. They didn't even knock before entering. How rude. Good evening, Ben.
I was invited. I'm like a vampire. I can only go where I'm invited.
You're always welcome in here. Did you bring biscuits? I want biscuits. Go on.
No.
Boo.
I have nothing. Right.
That could say the same for your voice as well. Jesus
Yes,
Christ.
it's going really well.
I have no biscuits and no voice. Oh no. Good evening. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you guys? How are you enjoying the first race?
That was rather interesting. I must admit, it was the same as you just heard that the top three stayed the same, but everything down from that was anyone's guess,
Oh, yes.
basically.
It was not an easy shift, that one.
How did that go for you? You lost 80 positions there. We saw you get potentially
Yes.
involved in a little bit of a bump.
I got caught on the lap one carnage. It happens. That's one of those things that we have stewards for. And then I dropped it on my own, which was not ideal, trying to hold a little bit of pace around that fast left down towards the second hairpin and span the car. So I had to do a bit of a recovery drive.
Indeed.
But had a very damaged front end, so now it's
a little bit poorly. A little bit poorly, like your voice. As shame we can't reset your voice.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Bless you. Going into second and third races, we do have 2 more quarter-of-an-hour races to come, but pretty much a one-shot quali coming up for race 2, and then race 3. Is it a full reverse grid?
Have I started? Sorry, but it is, yes. I was just double checking. I forgot to change the practice time down to 5 minutes. So I will have to push that forward in a minute when everyone gets in. Well.
Oh, we've got you here as long as we like then.
Exactly.
If you really want me to rattle on for 50 minutes, you've got gonna have a very rough evening of it.
I think that'd be very painful for how your throat is. Sounds. Well, yeah, wasn't sort of the start that you would have hoped for this season, but I mean, there's still 23 races to go, and 23 races that you helped conceive. You're the man behind the series. Tell us, why minis?
Well, it's one of those ones that we've really got no excuse for not having run a championship with them already. Everyone loves them. Everyone goes, every time we run them, we go, yeah, we really should do a series with it, a season with these, and then we just hadn't. So it was finally, it's like, I was originally going to do Morgan's for this one, and then I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to put together a mini championship instead, and finally run what we've been planning to all this time. But we've got some plans for UK tracks, so we're very UK light on this series. But picked some old favourites of mine from around a lot of different sims, going back to Race Room, TOCA Race Driver 3. Some really tracks that don't really see much use, but are really fun tracks.
Yeah,
like this one. It's a great track, but no one ever seems to race it.
Yeah, it's lovely watching the Australian supercars race around here, and the first race, very action-packed. So looking forward to how these next 2 races go, especially the reverse grid. I had enough carnage in the first one. Can't imagine how much we'll have in that third race. But we've got the calendar up on screen, as you say. We head into Falkenberg next week before Sportsland Sugo. Goodwood, very quick circuit there for round 4 before second half Salzburg. Phillip Island, another race down under here before Sonoma Raceway on the NASCAR layout, and finishing the season at Curitiba. Any track you're particularly looking forward to this season?
Salzburg Ring. I've been wanting to run that track for so long. Well, I'm looking forward to Falkenberg next week. It's a great little speed bowl of a track. But those of us who are getting on a bit will remember the World Touring cars going to Salzburg Ring and the front tyres failing on nearly every front-running car as they tried to take the long bank turn. So it's a proper challenge, but it's a a fun, fast track that will really suit these cars.
And you mentioned the World Touring Cars. Very similar format. That was three 20-minute races, three 15-minute races here. Any reason behind the slightly shorter races? And really, how did you want to just sort of copy the touring cars for this season? How did the format come together?
Yeah, it was always going to be similar format to the touring cars, but we've got the full reverse grid. We'll be having success ballast from next week, which is going to be entertaining for those people who've done really well. It's basically my vengeance upon them. But yeah, 15 minutes is about the sweet spot in these cars for the tyres. After about that time, the tyres drop off a cliff. So with 15 minutes, you'll still be racing right up to the end. They'll still feel good, and you'll still be able to do good close battling. So it's
Wonderful.
the thought went in at least.
Well, first race has proven good so far. Hopefully, the rest of the season goes a little better for you, but is just as entertaining. Hopefully, a little bit cleaner this instance, but just much racing. We'll let you rest your voice up and get ready
Thank you.
for qualifying coming up. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Ben.
No problem. I will be skipping the server forward in a couple of minutes.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Thank you, Ben.
Catch you guys later.
Yeah, Ben
Gosh, he
mentioning.
sounds.
Yeah, it's rough. Not quite as bad as you were a few weeks ago
Oh,
when we were
I know.
racing Norris Ring, but it's not far from. So yeah, we'll save Ben any more talking. But you did mention something great that we haven't actually mentioned so far, which is success ballast from next week. We mentioned the overall championship that we have, the top 10 finishers, the top 10 drivers of the overall championship at the end of every round will get success ballast for the next round. That starts at 50 kilos for the leader, so looks like that might be Pavot if things continue how they've started so far tonight. And that scales down in 5 kilos down to, so 5 kilos then for P10. Certainly help keep things interesting and maybe stop the sort of little bit of a runaway that Pavot looks like they're trying to make in the first race.
I say he's gonna be thrilled with 50 kilograms if he comes out on top on this week, won't he? Won't hear him stop moaning about it. Bless him. He's a wonderful guy, but I don't think if you give him ballast, it's gonna be he's not. I don't think he'll be the best happiest driver on the grid, but that's what it is. Keeps things interesting, keeps things a bit more fairer. But if he's getting away with about 5 seconds over a quarter of an hour race, then he's going to get the ballast.
Yes, they will indeed. Of course, she mentioned we have Darren Wilkes in chat, who's unfortunately having to miss tonight, as well as Matt Holman. Shame that you two are missing. We're also missing Alfie and Johnny, so a few drivers having to miss this first race. We're going to see an even more packed grid, next week. Think of how tight it is. Add in a few more drivers. Well, yeah, this series is
That's
going
going
to
to be
be a great one.
mental. It's going to be an incredible season. Cannot wait to get even though we have like 22 drivers tonight. How many signups we got? What, 28, 29, maybe even 30?
I think it is 30. So, of course, not everyone can make every week. We do, expect a couple of dropouts at least every week, some more than others as life happens. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be sort of one of our quieter weeks, and yeah, we can get closer towards that magical 30 number in the coming weeks. As you can see, the
Indeed, yeah.
calendar, we run all the way to the 1st of July, as we're already nearly halfway through May this year. Where has the year gone?
Blah.
Year is flying in. But yeah, as the next 8 weeks go on, hopefully they'll fly in because we're having so much fun racing here at oNiD. Of course, we have plenty of other racing going on throughout the week. We'll remind you what's going on throughout the rest of oNiD in Season 3 as well at the end stream. So, because there's some plenty of good series, a lot of them on Ultimate, as we're really turning our focus onto that this season.
Yes.
But yes, we will catch up on the rest of oNiD towards the end of the evening. Now, qualifying is just getting started. It is only 5 minutes, so a lot of the drivers are heading out. Let's see what they are doing as we jump on board with Zach Silver. First car I clicked on.
That's absolutely fair. As we said, pretty much a one-shot quali for some. They don't get around in time. Maybe you can get 2 laps in if you're lucky. But everyone you can see kind of jam-packed. It's like a tin of sardines going into the second sector. So they'll all be squabbling for position. Maybe a cheeky bit of slipstream may come into useful assistance if they can make it work. As I do believe the first person to start the laps, we just had to jump on board with him. And Gus Peters, look at that, a lovely queue of cars forming up right behind him. As yeah, that's going to be interesting. They're going to be squabbling a little bit. I think a couple of them started to back off a little bit to try and get a bit of space, but for now, it says they're going to the final turn. Gus Peters, oh, that's a moment there for that car. I'm not quite sure who that was, but Gus Peters will be the first to start a flying lap and has air ahead of him and now a bit of a gap behind him as well.
Yeah, let's go on board with Gus Peters. One of only what looks like 2 or 4 cars, let's say, that has clean air as the first lap times come in already. But we'll hide them for now as we watch on board Gus Peters braking for turn 2. First big braking zone, can see the rear sliding. Gus Peters trying to manage it mostly with the steering there, but a little bit of the throttle as well. Now through the long right-hander for turn 3, just about flat out in these cars, using a little bit of extra curb on the exit. Braking for turn 4, elevation really sort of makes the car a bit light through here, can make it very slippery. Bring the car back over to the right-hand side to open up the left-hander of turn 5. Try not to be too egregious with track limits on the exit. You can lose time from that. Then heavy braking for turn 6. A little bit of an awkward corner here. It's tighter than it seems. Peters sledding out quite wide and using all of the exit curb. They're now into turn 7, long left-hander, using all the track again on the exit. Pulls the car to the left-hand side, heavy braking then for the right-hander of turn 8. Be patient on the throttle, using all of the track on the exit, heading to the final few corners. Turn in for turn 9, flat out, gradually lift off the throttle and hit the brakes. Try and keep the car straight to get slowed down into left-hander again. Don't run too wide. Then through the long left-hander, turn 11, the final corner, leads you onto the Brabham straight. Important to get a good exit here as it dictates your run all the way to start-finish line. Gus Peters will get, all of our drivers should get a second flying lap, but it will only be 2 flying laps here. They are first across the line, and we'll start to see our times come in.
Indeed, we shall. 140.3, but Fraser 139.8, and that's closer to what we actually saw for pole position last time out. It was actually only one driver into the 39.8, which was Pavot. He's only done a 149.7. He's had a mistake. He's had an issue on this short qualifying. He's going to have to go again, but will have a chance to do so.
Yeah, Pavot was second in line, so maybe not best track positions, but it's carried on. Dondlo right at the back of the queue. A little bit of a risky strategy in these shorter qualifying session, but will easily get round for a second flying lap and has a nice bit of space as well. We still have one car in the pits. Mariano looks like they're not going to get a time in, but straight to the top for Dondlo, 139.6. That is 8 tenths off of the provisional pole time. Question is, can Pavot, who's down in 17th at the moment, get the lap in?
You'll have to do so on this one. He's only got the second opportunity to do so. So it's now or never for James. He has got breathing space. He's got a car ahead of him, not too far ahead of him. He's got a car behind him, not too far behind. He's in that kind of Goldilocks zone. He isn't going to be disturbed by the car ahead, and the car behind is doing its own thing. It's not close enough to cause him any hassle.
Yeah, might even get a little bit of a toe. They might be just a little too far back. Wishing they were a couple of tenths closer. Peters puts themselves to the top of the time. It is only momentarily. Pivot immediately
Oh,
goes up to P3. Let's see who else is on that. Dondlu is towards the back of the field. Try and pick up a driver who's close to line. Paulo Grady coming up to the line here. Andy Hearn up to P11. Paulo Grady up to P9. The times are coming in thick and fast. Godwin up to line, doesn't improve on that lap. Let's go to Adam Ely. Didn't get a good first lap in. What can their second lap do for them? It's only 13th. We'll watch Tim Bob, one of the next two cars across the line. Tarn gets up to P11, Tim Bob P8, and Dondolo will be the final car across the line. Goes P2, just 19 thousandths off of pole. They'll have to settle for P2 once again.
oh boy, that was close. Just nothing's again. Top three, out and away with everything. Oh, and Bain decides to finish this up by putting it into the wall. Of course he does. As as a top three separated by 0.127, and it's just a case of the rest of the field is just playing catch up. P4, 0.641 of a second off the pole sitter's time, and it's a good half a second off P3.
Yeah, similar gap. It was 5.5 tenths for Harkonnen, who was best of the rest in the first qualifying. Harkonnen only ninth that session, 1.3 seconds off. They'll be a bit disappointed with that qualifying session. Stevie Bain will be disappointed. 3 seconds off the pace, down in 21st. That's over a second further off than where they were in the first qualifying session. But one of the things we should say is there is evolving track grip, so the track conditions might not be the same as what they were in the first sessions. Might be a little bit lower, might be a little bit higher. I can tell you for certain. Don't have that data, unfortunately. But yeah, could just be putting some of the drivers off, and one of the reasons why we're seeing some drivers struggling and maybe other drivers adapting to the differing conditions a little better and putting themselves further up the grid.
Absolutely. So, just wait for the cars to go to the grid. It's again that inevitable pause before the cars are all gridded up. And then we will get to it once more for the second quarter of an hour race. That'll be Pavé on pole. Now, remember, keep an eye on those finishing positions from race 2, and then flipping it on its head. That will then set the grid for race 3.
Yes, so drivers will still want to do the best they can here to score points, but it will give them a challenge. But if you're James Pivot, after the first race, you're probably feeling somewhat confident that you will be able to make progress with the pace that you have in the final race. But of course, there's always the risk of getting involved in some of the carnage that we already seen in the first race. So as we wait for the second race to get started, drivers will be gridding up in by a minute, and the race will start by a minute after that. Yeah, I think some of the drivers had a bit of a difficult first race. I think we'll be hoping for redemption, as we commonly say in these multi-race formats. But those drivers that have done well will be hoping that, yeah, they can, or especially improved in the second qualifying session, we'll be hoping that they can hold on to those higher grid slots.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting race too. I think we're going to see the same very much of what we've seen already, where Pavé may just look to pull away a little bit. But they're all kind of not going in his favour for race 3. So now, if he does win, it will mean we'll be starting in a final position for the race.
Yep, indeed. Drivers on the grid now. And we're going to wait once more for the session by 40 seconds till we get underway. Will we see just as much chaos, do you think, in the second race, or do you think maybe, first race drivers have learned a bit, maybe learned sort of what not to do, and maybe we'll see a clean start here?
Yeah. the admin in me says yes, clean racing, please. The commentator's like, let the chaos unfold, please.
Will the chaos unfold? Will we sing clean racing? We're about to find out. The lights are coming on once again for the second time here at Sydney Motorsports Park. We're away for race 2 as drivers get off the line once again. All right, trying to slot into single file. We jump to the middle of the pack into the long left-hander of T1. All drivers looking like it's clean so far, but this is turn 2, the big braking zone where it all went wrong in race 1. Looking much cleaner this time round.
They figured out how to take turn 2 cleanly. It's all good. Everyone looking to get away well. Not many changes, and Toscano's actually dropped down the order a little bit, sadly, as he's lost 2 positions and maybe potentially having an incident and dropping off the back of the pack as we see the cars 3 wide through turn 3 and 4.
Looking
And that's
back,
Jacob Hines fending everyone off.
look at the angry swarm of minis fighting for track position. There's barely any to spur through the tight left-hander of turn 6 drivers using all the track on the exit, trying to slot back into line. Been a good start for Stevie B and up 5 places already, trying to overcome that per qualifying session as side by side into the hairpin between Harkonnen and Tim Bob as we cut back to like one car on the grass there. That's Knoji looking to the outside of Taran.
Looks to try and get the move done. Oh, there's a bit of a nudge. Bit of a door banging kind of rear bumper to bumper moment saying, hey, I'm here. I want to get past. Please move your car out of the way. As he now looks to potentially have a run. We'll jump back to, there we go, Nezhev and Peter's actually fighting way further up the field, and that's going to be moved up the inside in turn 1. Just about done. But in the background, that is Harkonnen again going off the circuit, not of his own accord, but encouraged around.
Fighting with Tim Bob there, trying to safely rejoin, but having had to go across the gravel and all the cars being so tightly compact, there's a car spinning round. Is that... It's not Ben Myatt. They've got through okay. I think that was Lucas Smits. Unfortunately, Andy Hearn now out wide through turn 3 and dropping back as well. It's been a difficult second lap. Most people managed to avoid the chaos. Toscano was our only casualty there, but the second lap it has started. The fireworks have started, let's say.
Harkonnen bad to worse. What a torrid race 2 as well. He got kind of caught up in a lap 2 or lap 1 incident on the first race and dropped down the order. It looks to be a rinse repeat again for him as well as you go into race 2.
Into the hairpin, Tim Bob trying to get to the inside of Ash Hill, but outbraking themselves. Ash will get the cutback and hold on to position. Ash Hill is a bit further down. They qualified 19th. Another driver with a really poor qualifying trying to recover up has run very wide onto the grass through the penultimate corner and is going to drop more positions. Luckily gets back on just before Ben Myatt comes past, but as you can see, fastest lap of the race for James Le Pavot as they once again, just like the first race, open up that gap in the lead.
Indeed, they do. That is a shame for Ash Hill going wide. He did go through the final turn, but it's now under threat from Ben Myatt. And looks like Sean McCarter also. Oh, Taran! What's happened to Taran?
Crash with Paul Grady and Adam Ede, Kanoji involved as well. Looks like a few too many cars were trying to fit in the same part of the track, and it's still very tight. Stevie B now trying to go round the outside of Kanoji, the rear end sliding around, and Adam Ede is trying to get involved in the action as well. Stevie now on the inside for the left-hander, and leaves plenty of space for Kanoji, who doesn't run wide, but it's enough has been compromised enough for Adam Ede to get to the inside, who's maybe having a look to the inside of Stevie Bain as well. Adam and Stevie, good friends, will certainly race each other hard because of it. So maybe some fireworks coming, but very close between the two admins, as they're now followed by Kanoji.
Kanoji kind of almost like, oh, it's a car spinning.
That's Ash Hill looking at one of the alternative layouts of the track, and Stevie Bain has spun on the exit of the hairpin as well. More calamities.
From bad to worse. I was going to comment on how looking forward to the battle between Bain and Adam there, but yeah, we've been robbed of a battle there. That would have been rather entertaining and quite interesting to see. Or however, jump back with Adam. He's now on the offensive on the back of Zach Silver. Was pushing him along the start-finish straight. Actually, I think it inadvertently gave him a bit of a speed boost going through the start-finish, and is not going to be able to make a challenge into turn one behind him. No, Kanoji making up position from spinning Stevie Bain. He's also hounding in on those two ahead of him, Silver and Adam fighting away, and also Taryn wanting to recover as well. There's battles up and down the grid. I don't know where to look.
There are some massive packs here. Andy Hearn off at the hairpin, doesn't look like there was contact there. There's plenty of fighting wherever you look in this middle portion of the grid. Those trying to fight back from poor qualifying, those trying to hold on to their good qualifying spots, as Lucas Mitz and Tim Bob are fighting at it. Tim trying to get the cut back, trying to get to the inside, but doesn't get good enough run, and actually Mariano has a good run here that Tim Bob's going to try and defend from. Big jump over the curb isn't going to help. Mariano looking to the inside for turn 7. Are they going to have the nose there? No, has to back out of that move.
Very close to making contact. Backs out right last minute as Harkonnen. We say about Harkonnen trying to make a recovery drive. He's got these guys in front of him thinking, come on, guys, I'm so much quicker than you. I've been up the furthest top of the field. I don't want to be here. Just let me through. Please. Definitely what he's thinking right now. Absolutely. Oh, we might have an opportunity going into the final turn here as Mariano goes a little bit wide, but pulls it back onto the apex, cutting off any route through for Harkonnen, and says, no, you're going to have to try again at another point. I'm not taking any sympathy on you for your calamity of a race.
Reese Taryn on the back of Sean McArdle. Through turn 1. Try and close in a little bit wide for Sean McArdle, but they'll get away with that. Reese Taryn a little bit later on the brakes. Closes in with the concertina effect and still managing to hold a tighter line than Sean McArdle, though it's not done them much good. Looks like Harkonnen has got that move done in the background, and Nashhill getting in front of Toscano as well. Into the right-hander. Can Tarn find an opportunity? They're certainly putting the pressure on. They've found the grip to get to the outside, force Sean to take a tight line into the left-hander, and again going for another cutback to try and get the inside here towards turn 6. Will they try dive on the brakes? No, back out. Think better of it, but they certainly seem to be the quicker of these two drivers. It's just a question of where can they get the move done.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities if you can make them work. Just like Tim Bobby is trying to do on Lucas Smits here, and I think that's move done for Tim. He's going to defend into the next right-hander, and he's going to go deep along with Lucas Smits. That's Harkonnen a reason to try and get a move done on Lucas Smits, but thinks better of it.
Reese Taryn now has got themselves nearly alongside Sean McArdle, going for the cutback, and looks like they have got done. That's a car wide. That's Zach Silver dropping positions. Looks like they went in all too quickly and ran wide of their own accord. No contact logged on our timing sheet, so that was one for just themselves to blame, it seems. Things spreading out quite a bit in the top 10, but these drivers outside the top 10 10 still fighting away. Just over 6 minutes to go as Harkonnen trying to fight past Lucas Smits.
He is, and he's looking up the inside, but goes deep, has a spin, and goes off on his own. Almost takes Smits with him. I think that's just a little bit of frustration there from Harkonnen.
You can't let the frustration get the better of you. You need to stay calm to try and make some good moves, especially when you know you're quicker than these drivers. You just got to take the clean opportunities when they come. Timbub on the back of Zach Silver, trying to put the pressure on. Thinking about the inside, but isn't quite close enough here for turn 6. Both using the sausage curb. Lucas Smits taking a bit more and getting a poor exit out of the corner, having just put themselves on a bad line. As Timbub taking slightly different line, just trying to keep the pressure on Zach Silver, who runs a little bit wide. Tim tries to get the nose down the inside, but just was not quite close enough to take advantage of that.
Oh boy. Yeah, that was almost a collision there between them both. As Zach goes very deep and goes onto the grass, does Zach, and that's gonna should allow. Does it? No, it doesn't. Doesn't allow Tim Bob up. No, I was looking at the wrong driver.
Zach has dropped down to 19th,
yeah,
but Adam Ede was also off and has dropped down to 13th. You can see lap time 145.8, about 5 seconds, maybe 4 seconds slower than those around them. Ash Hill doing a 140.3, much quicker than a number of the cars in front of them, showing just sort of how much further down they are than where their pace is. But Adam Ede now having to defend, having made that mistake from Tim Bob for P13. Through turn 3 now. Starting to feel a little bit of pressure as they try and regain their composure with 4 minutes left in the race.
About 2 or 3 laps to go, depending where the leader is. It's all to play for. Anyone who's battling, this circuit does tend to allow itself to get cars side by side. If you give in each other space, you can fight for positions and remain alongside. As Tim Bob thinks about making a move. I think that was a half-assed move up the inside. He thought better of it right at the last moment, backs out of it. I think that's more. Silver! That's not how Mini's supposed to be looking.
They've collected the concrete barriers on the outside of the corner, and it has certainly done them some harm. Harkonnen trying to get 17th, trying to hold on to 17th ahead of Mariano. Struggling with Harkonnen, one of the drivers you'd expect to be much further up, especially being a part of the pro class, but has been struggling at this race, falling towards back for the car, sliding through the penultimate corner. But we're gonna follow Reese Tarn here. He's on the back of Ben Maitu after a disappointing first race, up into the top 10 now. But the question is, can they hold on to it?
I do wonder if Harkonnen's got damage. That's why it's not seeing him go back up through the field like we would expect him to. We'll stick on board with Taran, however. He's going to on the tail of Ben Myatt, who goes defensive right at the last moment, goes in a little bit deep to the corner. He's actually also fighting with Kanoji for position as well. And that's moved. It's contact!
Taran's round has Kanoji is off into the grass. Both of them dropping positions. Ben Myatt is up to 9th. Sean McGardle takes the final top 10 position as Kanoji now wide is going to let Ash Hill through as well. So that's down to 15th for Kanoji, down to 20th for Tarn, who's come out worst of all 3 of those drivers. Quite a shame and not a lot of time to recover from that. 2 minutes left in the race. It should be noted, Pavot not making as much of a gap at the front of the field. Less than 2 seconds, the gap in front, as Ash Hill making a move, or trying to make a move at least, on Lucas Smits.
Indeed, side by side through what is turn 7?
Turn 8 over the hairpin. Lucas Smits on the outside of turn 9, becomes the inside for turn 10, but got their braking wrong, had to sort of cut across the curb and go run them out wide. Kanoji is going to try and get their nose up the inside, can't quite get it there through the final corner and out onto the start finish line. In the slipstream for these drivers, who will be the one to make a move now as they head towards turn 1. Very fast corner. difficult to make a move. Harkonnen setting a new personal best as they try and catch up to this train, get some any final positions that they can. As the field coming towards turn 2 now, no one quite close enough to make a move into the hairpin.
Absolutely. Slipstream coming in handy for these cars, and if you stay in the queue, you can get the slipstream effect from these. It is simulated within the Assetto Corsa, but not enough to get alongside through that fast left-hander of turn 1. It is really have to be alongside before you turn in, before you think about even making a move into that corner, unless you want to try and hang it out and try and make the move into turn 2. O'Grady, 8th position, good showing from him. Looking to try and get past Goodwin for position, not looking like he's been able to do so as of yet. But the AM driver, I think, is actually leading the AMs, if I'm reading that all correctly.
I think he is. Just passed by Goodwin, but will
Oh,
not
Adam.
be too bothered by that. It looks like Adam is unfortunately disconnected from... No, are they back? They've magically come back, and they take P11. A bit of a scare there. But they seem to be carrying on all right. Just a little bit of a connection issue. Our leaders, Pivot, has already finished the race. We missed that. Did cross the line just after the time expired once again, and it'll be the same top three as the first race. Jacob Hine will take P4 this time. We have Peters, Neshev, Godwin, P7, Paul O'Grady, first of our AM drivers in P8, ahead of Ben Myatt. Good result for him. P2 within AMS, P9 overall. Good result after that per race one. Sean McArdle will have sell for P10, but the final podium position within the AMS class. Adam Ely settling for 4th within AMS class. Have Tim Bob, Hill, Harkonnen, Kanoji, Mariano, Smits, Bain, Hearn, Taran, now coming cross line, Toscano and Silver having their issues at the back of the grid.
Eek. Well, as we said, folks, it would be absolutely mental for these Mini Coopers, but they've proved to give us some really good racing action now. Look at that finishing standings on your left of the screen. Flip it on its head, and we'll have the grid for race 3. Zach Silver will take pole, and Pavot will start at the back of the grid.
We've watched the 2 starts so far from Pavot's perspective. Looking back at the grid as he's been on the front. How about this time we watch, again, from Pavot's perspective, but from the back this time? Oh boy, this, given the chaos we've seen already,
I don't know what to think.
Yeah, this is gonna be a race coming up soon, as we reverse the grid.
And again, top 3 started, and where they started in qualifying, finishing where they finished as well. Gus Peters in 5th, maintained his position too. But the biggest gainer, unusually not in double figures like we saw last race, but Ben Myatt, biggest gainer up into 9th position. A good finish from him.
Yeah, really good position for him. Can see sort of the losers. Kanoji dropping 8 places. Tara 9, Silver 9 as well. No one having quite as bad of a race, you could say, as in the first race, where we had a couple of drivers like Harkonnen had dropped 12 places within the first race. But then a couple of drivers did have poor qualifyings, like Stevie Bain up 3 positions, but as a pro driver, he'll still be pretty disappointed with 18th, especially since he was up to, I think, as good as 13th in the middle of the race before he got spun out of turn 8, the hairpin towards the end of the middle sector. But we are now starting to... we've sort of winding down from that second race, but we're starting to sort of tense up for this final reverse grid race.
I know. It's going to be interesting. We're just going to hang fire until the cars take to the grid. Won't be long before we see them do that, and we'll then get racing once more for the final time tonight for the final 15 minutes worth of racing.
Yeah, and it is still, despite the fact it's reverse grid, it is still only 15 minutes. That is not a lot of time. I believe we've seen 9 laps in each race so far. That's not a lot of laps, but Pavot, if they want to make it 3 for 3 wins tonight, they will have to pass the entire 23 car field to do so. So 22 overtakes they would need to make. With some of the chaos, I think it's safe to assume they'll get some of those positions for free. But with how sort of intense the battling has been, I think it's also safe to say not all of these overtakes will be easy. In a way, Pavot will need to, get the moves done quickly, but also not be impatient and end up getting caught in one of those incidents themselves.
Well, only time will tell. He's got a big old grid of cars to try and get past if he wants to try and get that win. We don't encourage last the first challenges here on oNiD. It's something we actively tell our drivers not to do in the briefing. But for tonight, it actually feels like it actually might be possible for James. We'll see what happens.
Of course, we did have reverse grids last season in the Formula Lithiums. Those were 30-minute races, and they generally had some strategy involved to help the drivers out as well. That is not the case this time as we get ready for the lights to come on for the final time this evening here at Sydney Motorsports Park. Round 1 of 8 of the JCW Mini World Tour. The lights are coming on. And we are away for the final time. It looks like a clean start for most of our field as we ride on board with Pavot. Better start than Dondolo alongside them, squeezing them to the inside as the field fans out now through turn 1. Left-hander all getting very close. A little bit of bumping already, a little bit of riding onto the grass. Now it's a heavy braking zone of turn 2. Can everyone keep it clean? Pavot to the outside. Nope. Already one car going off. Couple of more cars off into the grass. But Pavot is keeping it safe for now.
But now he is. There's cars off ahead of him as well. There's been an incident. It's Hearn, Taran and Neshev all dropping down the order. As it stands, there's a car off as well. That's a big shunt. That's Pavot. He's been involved in a shunt.
And Fraser as well. Dondolo is really our biggest gainer so far, up 10 places to 11th in front of Jacob Hine at the moment. Gus Peters also making a good start, as it looks like a couple of the drivers at the front of the field not getting away well, but currently leading the way. Zach Silver, clean start, pulling away from pole position.
Is indeed Ash Hill up 8 positions, Harkonnen up 6th. Good start from them. And Harker will be quite pleased with that start after a couple of torrid races he's had. I'm sure he'll be looking to hound down on the leaders with presumably the better pace advantage that he seems to have had, minus the unforeseen incidents he's been involved in.
Yes, so into the top 10 already for Dondolo, as we're seeing more fighting. Harkonnen and trying to get past Stevie Bain, who's in podium position at the moment. If they can fend off Harkonnen down the start-finish straight side by side, looks like Harkonnen is the driver with the momentum and is just going to eke in front. Stevie go try and fight back through T1. No, slots back into line. Ben trying to fight with Tim Bob into T1. Will send it in side by side. Will Tim Bob hold it round the outside? Does so indeed. We'll have the momentum, and now Dondolo is going to try and pound some of these two drivers, but they're still side by side into turn 2. Dondolo looking to the inside, getting caught up with the rear bumper of Ben Myatt. Will, though, get in front of Tim Bob as Jacob Hine bouncing over the inside curb, compromising them, and allowing Paulo Grady to get past them for P11.
Good to see that Taran's back out on circuit after their shunt. A little shout out to Taran to not just leave the race after a very torrid start. It does rejoin and will continue to look to finish the race. As we see Jacob Hine getting a massive swapper on. And he's going to lose a couple of positions because of it. Maybe 3.
Nearly 3 wide into left-hander. It doesn't work out. Kanoji being spun on the outside, uses the front-wheel drive to straighten the car back up, but all chaos in this middle of the pack as they were going 3 wide. Look how close the gaps are. Let's actually just quickly go on board, looking back from Zach Silver at the train of cars that follow. In fact, let's actually jump back to Ben Myatt, where the field is a little more bunched up right behind them.
Indeed, they are. It's a train of cars from first to fifth. Gus Peters in a little bit well of his own, when then Ben White leading a train of cars all the way down to P11, and that's almost about to come P12, inclusive of that little queue of cars, as well as Ash Hill now looking to make a move for the lead. It was 2 tenths quicker on the last lap. He's going to have a look around the outside of turn one. That's a bold move. He's not going to make it right there, but opens himself up to a move by Harkin up the inside of the turn two. We boxed in. You have to stay tucked in behind the leader as Harkin now takes the PT off his hands. Or does he around the outside? Ash Hill holds the move into turn three. It's still going to be side by side. It'll be then turn four before the next real braking point. They'll be able to decide who's going to take P2, but he remains side by side into the braking zone. Still side by side. Someone's got to yield at some point, surely. Obviously not, and actually I think Harkin does momentarily yield.
Momentarily looks back to the inside for the left-hander, but has compromised himself. Stevie Bain round the outside, retakes P3. Great move by them, and that is the beauty of Sydney Motorsports Park. You can run side by side through so much of the lap. The fights may never end at times. Harkinen now trying to come back to the inside of Stevie through this long left-hander. Billaby the outside for the hairpin, coming up onto the brakes. Make sure not to overshoot, and that's Sean McArdle trying to get up the inside of Harkinen now for P4, but doesn't have the momentum, doesn't have the drive off the hairpin as they make their way into the final few corners.
This is amazing. I can't. This is brilliant racing from all. The leader holding his own. Although I think Ash Hill is going to get the move done. Oh, that goes wide, and that's contact as he tries to rejoin. No, I spoke too soon.
Trundling down the grass like a lawnmower. Luckily, after Gus Peters, there's quite the gap. 2.7 seconds to Ben White as they try and rejoin us. Gus Peters actually sets fastest lap of the race. Harkinen still fighting to try and get past Stevie as Stevie runs a little bit wide onto the grass. Harkinen, are they thinking by move? Maybe, but Peters is looking to the inside of Sean McArdle for P4, and Zach Silver is already caught up to the back of this train. They'll be looking to try and reclaim some of those positions they lost by being out on the grass, and there's still a lot of fighting going on towards in the group behind from P7 all the way back to 14th position. That's 8 cars in a solid train fighting for position to the inside. Zach Silver on Sean McArdle. They get the move done, but let's look back at Jacob Hine and Dondolo going side by side. Jacob running out wide. They're going to lose out to Paul O'Grady, who makes their way through to P11, and Pavone and Lucas Smits fighting in the background as well. Side by side, Jacob Hine trying to hold it around the outside. Space isn't quite there, and Pavone is going to get themselves up to P12 on the inside. Sean McArdle trying to come back on Zach Silver into the hairpin. Looks to the outside, doesn't quite work, but bit of lag there from Zach Silver. Unfortunately, spins Sean McArdle around, and they're going to lose positions, quite a few from this tight-knit pack of cars, down to P9 for Sean McArdle, unfortunately, from that lag instant, as Gus Peters is now trying to look to the inside of Otto Harkinen, and Stevie Bain putting pressure on Ash Hill at the front of the field.
That's good at Christmas. This is brilliant. I love it. It's brilliant. So much action up and down the field for this reverse grid. Ben Wyatt's up to 6th position. He's going to be thrilled with that. As Jesus Christ, 2 by 2 for the leaders at the minute. Stevie Bain's going to take the lead. He's fighting with Ash Hill.
He has taken the lead, but Ash Hill trying to come back on the inside of turn 2 has got the move done, but we know you can hold it around the outside here and becomes the inside for turn 3, which Stevie has done. Ash Hill drops back into line, but can they come back? Still side by side between Harkinen and Peters. Harkinen round the outside, but can Peters hold the inside for turn 4? They go back out here, they back out for now. Maybe go try in a couple of corners time. With how these corners flow into one another, you can easily find yourself losing positions from being compromised from one corner into another. Side by side now with Tim Bob and Adamy. Tim Bob on the outside loses out, might even lose out to Sean McArdle here, who's trying to recover after that lag instant with Zach Silver, but is coming under pressure from Seti Dondolo, podium finisher from the first 2 races so far, as Paul O'Grady has got themselves back in front of 2-time race winner so far this series, out of 2 races so far. Pavot down in P12. Are they going to maybe look for a move on Paul O'Grady? Doesn't quite look it, as there's I could hear the contact in the background between these drivers. cars that are still bumper to bumper.
I, 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 I don't know what to say. This is brilliant. I'm absolutely loving this. There's reverse grids either cause absolute mayhem or great racing. We're seeing the latter of this evening. It's brilliant to see. Yes, contact. Oh, Jacob got away with that, and so did Lucas Smith. Lucas Smith buried the throttle around the front end of the car to pull him straight. But now Jacob Pine's just tucked in. I think he's trying to give a bit of a bump draft a little bit there as he tries to make a move around the outside. No, don't be silly. You can't do it there.
Side by side for the lead again, Ashil and Stevie B. And Ashil now on the outside again for turn 3, but it's got themselves a little further alongside. Can they hold it there? They'll compromise Stevie's line into turn 4. And if they can hold it around the outside again, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but could become the inside for turn 5 here. Left-hander, Ashil backs out, but Stevie leaves the spacer anyway, as side by side once again for P3. Harkonnen and Peters fighting at it once more. Harkonnen with the inside into left-hander of turn 6. Bombs Peters out wide and will take the position with that. A little bit naughty, but as some would say, rubbing is racing, and certainly seems that way here. One go on board with Tim Bob, and look at the rear wing angle. There's Sean McArdle on the right-hand side here. All right, trying to make move. Side-by-side contact, and Paulo Grady sideways recovers the car with the front-wheel drive, but will lose out on the exit with a lack of momentum, unfortunately. What a save, but this is such a fight here from P8 back.
Yes, indeed. It's cover cars going wide. Oh, it's onto the grass. It's Paulo Grady through the final turn. He's going to lose a couple of positions because of that. I don't think he necessarily wanted to do that, but he's going to drop down positions down to 15th.
We're seeing a little bit of weaving. Sean McArdle trying to defend from Dondalou, who has a fantastic run to the outside. But Sean trying to go deep, trying to fend off, has maybe opened the door for a cutback from Dondalou. To the inside now of turn 2, heavy onto the brakes, but Dondalou's outbrake themselves. Sean McArdle is going to get the cutback now for P9, side by side into turn 3. Sean now on the outside. Will Dondalou be able to close the door? They just about do. And Jacob Hine is going to be looking to see if they can get involved, get themselves into the top 10. Frieza in the background trying to get round Lucas Smith's. Not going to work around the outside of turn 4, but they're going to try again on the outside of turn 5. Or are they going to get cut back here? A little bit wide for Lucas Smith's. And it is a cutback for Frieza towards turn 6. Can they get the move done under braking? It looks like they will, but Lucas Smith's now trying to go for the cutback. Gets it done. We'll have the inside for turn 7 now. The long left-hander towards the hairpin will be the outside for the hairpin if Lucas Smith can hold it there. Onto the brakes once more. And looks like Frieza will get the move done. Paulo Grady actually trying to look if they can follow through. They can't quite. While we were watching that, Dondalou got the move done on Tim Bob for P8, who's now coming under pressure from Sean McArdle for P9. Ben Myatt getting up ahead for pole sitter for this race. Zach Silver up into the top 5. Great race so far from Ben Myatt, as we see side by side in the background, nearly 2 by 2 down the start-finish straight.
Dear Lord, they're about to go 3 wide into turn 1. They're going 3 wide into turn 1. For the God of help, please, someone yield. They're not going to yield. Oh my word, did we just see that work for like the first time in forever? Getting 3 wide into turn 1. That was brilliant. They all somehow figured it all out and they're still going at it.
Pick any car there, probably side by side with someone. Couple of cars on the grass. Tim Bob coming back on door-to-door contact with our only race winner so far, Pavot, who's looking to get themselves into the top 10 finally after that incident at the towards the start of lap 2. 3 turns 4 inside now for Pavot. They're going to try and defend against a cutback here from Tim Bob. Try not to run too wide, and they hold on for now. Gus Peters trying to fend off Ash Hill. Hasn't worked so far. Ash to the inside of turn 7's got the move done, and is going to get to defend the inside for the hairpin. You can see the inside rear wheel locking as it lifts off the ground. Peters trying to come back here at Hash Hill towards turn 9. They go to the inside? No, they think better of it as they get to the final couple of corners. We'll cut back to this in a moment as Freezes go ahead of Tim Bob, and Paulo Grady is trying to get themselves ahead of Sean McArdle out of the hairpin.
Yes, indeed, and the fighting continues in this midfield and towards the back of the pack. It's incredible to see these guys just fighting away, have the confidence to go side by side through some of these sectors. It's amazing to see, and they're clean, they're respectful, and giving each other space. And I have seen a couple of hip and shoulder moments, but that's just racing. A bit of door banging. It's absolutely acceptable. You know, it's okay to do as long as you're not intentionally ramming someone off the circuit. It's just hard racing. That's what we're seeing up and down the grid. It's brilliant to see. I'm loving it.
Ash Hill trying to defend Gus Peters, who wants to reclaim the final podium position. Looking to the inside, will dive to the inside just about get their nose and swings the rear end out for Ash Hill, holding it with the throttle, and will now try the outside. Will Gus Peters, is it going to be a little bit too wide? They hold it within track limits and try and go for a cutback, but they don't have the momentum. Not long to go. This is the final lap of the race. It has been so chaotic, but he's absolutely flown in. We'll cut back. Paulo Grady trying to get to the outside of Tim Bob here, making the move for P12 overall, using all of the track, but just about gets back on time as Sean McArdle is having to fight Godwin in the background as well. 6 cars all together, nearly 3 wide into hairpin. Godwin on the outside gets shuffled out and will drop back in this pack.
Oh my word, how in the world are these guys keeping it on circuit? The leader, however, is just coming to the start-finish line. It's going to be Stevie Bain that takes the win. It's going to be second for Harklin. Who's it going to be for third? It's Gus Peters at the line.
What a fight. Let's look back at this battle. Everyone's slipstreaming themselves to the line, see if they can get any final position like Gus Peter did, but they're all filtering across the line. What a race. Barely anything to choose between a lot of the drivers. What a fantastic, fantastic race. But it will be Stevie Bain who takes the third and final race win of this evening.
Harklin second. Good drive back from Harklin. Torrid couple of races for him. But he is able to get to P2 for race 3 after being involved in instance race 1, race 2. And Taron, good shout out to Reese Taron here. A torrid start the race. Goes to the pits for a quick repair, rejoins, and we'll see the checkered flag. Props to you, Reese. Props to you as well.
Yes, so this will be our final finishing order. It has been ever so chaotic. But yeah, I mean, look at all those position changes. Somehow, one person did finish where they started. Neshev down in 17th. I imagine they'll be disappointed with that. They're one of the quicker drivers. They would have wanted to get up there, but with how chaotic that is, even Pavot, as quick as they were, only got up to P10. And remember, they had that instant on lap 2. Dondolo avoided those instants, was much further up the grid, but yeah, they not much further in front, only 2 places in front in P8. That just shows you how difficult it was to make moves stick with just how chaotic the racing was.
Big time. The racing was clean for the majority of it. The racing was fair for all of it. But you just didn't know where to look at times, did we? That's the thing. It was just up and down the grid constantly. Everyone was getting into their own little battles. Race 1 and 2 were predictable. I get that. But that final race just... Look at the timing here. Gus Peters up 15 positions, starting in 18th. That's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers indeed. So, after all that chaos, maybe we should go through the final finishing order, since it was a little too chaotic to go through it during the race.
It was a little bit. I just want to point out Stevie B GT in chat. Stephen Bain, our race winner. The reverse grid bandit is back. I'll take that. Stevie Bain takes the win for that reverse grid race. Harkin in second. Good finishing from him after a torrid first two races this evening. Peters, your biggest gainer on that race for P3, and up 15 positions. It was Hill, Myatt, Silver, Adamili, Stondolo, Hine, and Pavo, your top 10. Fraser 11th, Bob 12th, O'Grady's 13th, Goodwin 14th, Sean McCardle 15th, Smith 16th, Negev 17th, the only driver to finish in the same position that he started that race. Kanoji 18th, Toscano 19th, Hearn 20th, and Taron. Good on you for finishing the race, Reese. Do appreciate it. You have embodied what we preach at oNiD Racing. If you have a torrid race start, do not give up. Get back out there and have a bit of fun.
So, what will the championship standings look like? We will update you on that next week. Unfortunately, don't have that live updating this week, but we'll see if we can get that for the rest of the season. But also, remember, those championship standings will decide who has what success ballast. The championship leader might be Pavot after those 2 wins. I would say likely. We'd likely be them, but we'll wait for confirmation for that later on. Will be 50 kilos for the leader, down to 10th place having 5 kilos in 5 kilo increments. Should make things just a little bit more exciting. Bring those fast drivers a little closer to the main pack, as we did see the top 10 spread out, sort of especially in the second race. They'll all bunch up a little more for the second race when we head to Falkenberg next week. And here's a little reminder of the calendar we have coming up for the next 7 weeks on Tuesday here at oNiD for the Simhound JCW Mini World Tour. Sportsland Studio will make up the third round, and Goodwood will be round 4 before the halfway point. Salzburg will start the Salzburg Green will start the second half of the season with Phillip Island round 6, Sonoma Raceway round the NASCAR let for round 7, and Curitiba being our final round, and at the start of July. Some interesting tracks, and with racing like that, no matter what the track, we are going to see some fantastic racing this season.
It's going to be amazing. Some great tracks come up as well. My personal favourite, I must admit, I am looking forward to the great British Goodwood circuit. That's my pen on the calendar moment, thinking, can I cross that day off? That's going to be I think that's going to be a really good race. And other circuits as well. Sonoma Raceway, so many fantastic circuits that hark back, as Ben said earlier on, to the likes of other Sims Race Room, the other kind of sim racing titles that have been seen. We do and are able, with the ability of free mods, to go to these circuits, and we very much look forward to bringing you these races. Another 7 weeks worth of racing for the Mini Coopers.
Yeah, Salzburg Ring, the track that Ben mentioned, he's really looking forward to. And we'll try and get a few more drivers throughout the season, see what tracks they're looking forward to and how the season is going for them throughout. But you're saying you're a fan of British tracks. Maybe you'll like one of the other series we have coming up in season 3 at oNiD. Aidan, take us through what else we have on oNiD this season.
I'm loving these graphics, by the way. Thank you so much. Monday, we've already seen the first round of the LMU GT3 Festival. That was a fantastic way to start the season and kick off what is a new chapter for LMU. We just had our first round of the AC JCW Mini World Tour. We go to Simhound Academy tomorrow for more Le Mans Ultimate Racing. On Thursday, the iRacing British oNiD 4 Series. It's going to be Donny on Thursday. First round at Donington, a personal favourite of mine. I'm not being biased at all. And then suddenly go back to the LMU 100 series for the feature stream of oNID's schedule. and all these will be brought to you live on the oNiD Twitch channel.
Yeah, Ben Holmes was saying in chat how much they're looking forward to the oNiD 4 series at starting at Donington, as you mentioned this week. But yeah, plenty of great series. I'm looking forward to the 100 series. I did a 100-minute race, which is what the 100 refers to, on LMU a few weeks ago. And it was one of my favourite races when it came to strategy. So to have a full season of them, oh boy, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that is what we have coming up in the following season. But that does conclude our action for tonight. Aidan, before we go, any final words?
More Mini Coopers, more Mini Coopers. I can't wait till next week. It's going to be great.
Me too. It will be absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for joining us here for the first round of the Simhound JCW Mini World Tour. Hopefully, we will see not just next week at Falkenberg, but throughout the week for our other series. Until next time, take care, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Take care, guys.